How? How does a football team consisting of teachers, electricians and shopkeepers beat the best team in the country? We've seen this story before. Leicester City winning the Premier League, Greece winning the 2004 Euros, and Real Madrid's reserve team reaching the Coupe final to come up against their own senior side. Yes, that last one actually happened. Clearly, there's nothing we as football fans love more than an underdog story. However, there is a story all the way from the north of France to potentially top all of them, when an amateur side residing in the 4th tier of French football made it all the way to the final of the Coupe de France. This is the story of Calais Racing Union. Now, I know that you might be rushing to the comment section to somehow claim that you've always known that Ligue 1 was the Farmers' League, and subsequently the rest of the leagues in France makes up the rest of the livestock. But I urge you to watch this video until the end so you can see just how truly impressive this achievement was. In today's video, you'll come to learn number 1, who are Calais, number 2, the absolute insanity of the Coupe de France, and number 3, why this story is so special. So, who are Calais Racing Union, and what the hell are they doing in the Coupe de France? Coming off the back of losing 200,000 euros the previous season, Calais consisted of players that received zero money for making appearances for the club. Instead, these footballers were reliant on their lowly paid day jobs to sustain themselves. A couple of defenders worked in a local cash and carry, one was a gardener, and even their star player Emmanuel Vasseur was an electrician. Again, hold off on those Farmers League comments. So, this seems like a team of amateurs. How would it be possible for them to play in the biggest cup competition in France? For this to make sense, we first need to look at the format of how the Coupe de France works. The 1999-2000 Coupe de France saw more than 6,000...
Wait, how much?
That's right, I checked. This is apparently pretty normal for the French Cup. You see, the biggest distinction between the Coupe de France and other competitions such as the FA Cup or the Copa del Rey is that the tournament is open to all amateur and professional football clubs in France, including clubs which are based in the overseas departments and territories. The Coupe de France is a knockout tournament where each tie is played through a single leg. If the match ends in a draw after 120 minutes, a penalty shootout is immediately used to determine the winner, which means that replays are not possible. Replays were allowed prior to 1967 but were abandoned following 3 straight draws between Olympique Lyon and an amateur club, which resulted in the federation flipping a coin to determine the winner of that match. Which is kinda crazy, can you imagine that? The tournament is also unique in the sense that it forces higher ranked clubs to play as the away team when drawn against lower league opposition. Now that you know Calais are, as well as the ins and outs of the Coupe de France, let's take a closer look at the incredible run to the final. Calais' cup campaign started off on an emphatic note when they completely dismantled their first opponent 10-0 in the 90 minutes. And despite the large margin victory, this wasn't even the most impressive result in this entire campaign. The next few rounds saw them beat 3 more amateur sides as well as a semi-professional side 4-0 en route to the round of 64. The round of 16 is where they would meet their first fully professional opponent in Lille Olympique. A League 2 side at the time, they were still considered one of the most successful teams in France as they were crowned champions on 2 occasions and 5-time winners of the Coupe de France. Unbeaten in their last 9 matches, to no one's surprise, Lille were 1-0 up at halftime and expected to cruise the second half. Then, through a bit of fortune, an own goal scored by Paul Turin made the game level in the 67th minute, where somehow Calais would be able to hold Lille until the end of 120 minutes. The game would be decided on penalties. Calais narrowly won the shootout 7-6, beating their first big opponent without even scoring a goal. The round of 32 then saw a routine 3-0 win against a side that was a division below, thanks to a brace from Michael Gerard and a goal from Jerome Deuter. Honestly, I hope that these pronunciations are correct. On to the round of 16, and Calais were drawn against their second League 2 opponent in Cannes. 0 goals in 90 minutes, extra time was needed, and it seemed like Cannes would be the team to break the hearts of all the Calais fans, as they went 1-0 up in the 114th minute. Then, somehow, Calais managed to find the equalizer through Christophe Hogard with just 2 minutes remaining to send the match to penalties. This time more convincingly winning 4-1 in the shootout. Roll on the quarterfinals, Calais finally met their first Ligue 1 opponent in Strasbourg. Despite going 1-0 down in the opening 6 minutes of the match, Calais found themselves 2-1 up at halftime after finding 2 quick goals in the last 6 minutes. And luckily for them, this time around, extra time and a penalty shootout was not needed as they were able to hold on to their lead in the 90 minutes, thus advancing to the semi-final. Down to the final 4, and Calais were now the only team outside of Ligue 1 that was still in the competition. Surely at this point, this is where you would expect their fairy tale story to come to an end, especially since they were drawn against 5-time winners and the reigning champions of France, Bordeaux. A side stacked with French internationals at the time: Christophe Dugarry, Lilian Lalonde, Joan Coupe, and Sylvain Lewinsky, to name a few. In what must have been the longest 90 minutes of football for the fans of Calais, the game ended 0-0 at full time. Then, for the first time against higher-ranked opposition, Calais managed to go ahead thanks to a goal from 23-year-old Cédric Jandou in the 99th minute, only for Lilian Lalonde to find the equalizer just 9 minutes later. Then, quite remarkably, and honestly the biggest moment in this cup run, Calais somehow managed to go ahead again thanks to a goal from their substitute before Michael Gerard sealed the historic win with another goal in the 119th minute, sending the 40,000 Calais fans both inside and outside the stadium into an absolute frenzy. The players each received €10,000 as a bonus for this historic victory, and even their manager Lozano suffered a minor heart attack which resulted in him spending 3 days in hospital. It was official. The small amateur side from the north of France would be playing in the Coupe de France final, and the entire nation of France were gripped by Calais mania. The final would be played at the Stade de France in front of a crowd of 78,000 people. And despite beating Bordeaux in the previous round, Calais would meet their toughest opponent as they were matched up against Nantes, who were the current reigning champions of the Coupe de France. But the players and fans alike were optimistic and ready for the occasion. And for a moment, just a moment, the whole of France must have believed that these guys were actually going to do it, as the star player and top goal scorer in the Coupe de France that season put them 1-0 up in the 34th minute. The team that consisted of everyday working class men were leading at halftime. They were 45 minutes away from winning the Coupe de France. Unfortunately, the second half is when Nantes would show their talent and experience as the current reigning champions, bringing Calais back down to earth with an equalizer by the 50th minute. Then, probably the harshest way for this amazing cup run to come to an end. Onto the 90th minute, and Calais have conceded a penalty, where the opposition star player would step up to score his 6th goal of the tournament, securing his golden boot and the title for Nantes, breaking the hearts of the thousands of Calais fans. Football can sometimes be a cruel sport. Losers in the 90 minutes, but Calais were somehow winners in their own right. After the final whistle, there was a classy gesture from the Nantes captain as he invited the Calais captain to lift the Coupe de France alongside him. A truly remarkable sight after a cup final. French President Jacques Tolosano, there is a sport winner and a model winner. Calais was the real winner. To further cement just how impressive this achievement was, Nantes would go on to win Ligue 1 the following season. And as for Calais, they would have another exciting cup run in 2006, reaching the quarterfinal, before eventually falling into some serious financial troubles and eventually liquidating in 2017. The legacy of this team would live nearly 2 decades on, as their cup run was voted as the best of all time by France Football magazine readers. In fact, a planned replay of the final was meant to take place, but got put off due to COVID-19. Calais' manager Lozano said in an interview, "The 6 years spent at the club changed me. The mentality of the locals, their way of fighting, going beyond their limits, rejecting adversity. Calais is a place of forging characters. And there you have it, guys. Genuinely one of the best underdog stories we'll ever see in football. Si vous avez bien aimé la vidéo été chouette, n'hésitez pas à laisser un like, des commentaires et de vous abonner pour plus.